Hey guys, what's happening? So we're back for part 2 and 3 of the 2023 Blade series by Brian Hill, which continues the Mother of Evil storyline that this opens up with. And in this one, we'll find that Blade's recent escapades have put him on the radar of a quite powerful sorcerer who's not too happy about what's going on here. So with that said, let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications, so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so coming back, we find ourselves in Japan with an occult arms dealer by the name of Tulip, who's gotten herself into a bit of a predicament with what turns out to be an unhappy client who's getting ready to take her out because they didn't like her return policy, or better yet, lack thereof. But just when Tulip believes that this guy's getting ready to squeeze the trigger, she hears a gunshot, only to turn around and see that Blade has killed the disgruntled client before he could kill her. And from here, the two of them go back to her condo, so Tulip can wash up and get all the blood and skull fragments out of her hair. And at this time, we find that Blade has filled her in with his whole situation, as far as releasing a primordial demon called the Adana, and going on to kill the only person who was prepared to kill it. But Tulip just lets him know that she's already aware of this to an extent because she's clairvoyant and she's been having dreams recently. But it hasn't been until now where she's been able to identify what her recent dreams were about and tie it all back to Blade. But aside from him coming here to get help from Tulip, who's one of the best occult weapons dealers that he knows, to find another weapon that can kill the Adana, we also learned that the two of them have quite a bit of history. So in addition to them catching up, they also do a bit of getting down. But even still, Blade makes sure to let Tulip know that he's serious about needing her help. And for her, she sees this as a business transaction. So if she decides that she even wants to help him, he's going to owe her in return. And also with Blade telling her about the kid who rescued him from the mountain cult like we saw in the last issue, she asks Blade, where's that kid now? So he just tells her that she's tucked away safe somewhere, which at a glance it kind of looks like he ditched the kid just so he can go and get some from his ex, though he genuinely did this to keep Rintrah safe. But as it turns out, Tulip needs to meet Rintrah because that kid knows the most about the Adana out of the three of them. And if Tulip is gonna help Blade find the right weapon, she has to know what exactly it is that Blade's trying to kill. And in the middle of this talk, an attack chopper just flies up to the window of her condo, letting off a railgun and just tearing this place apart. Which again, just goes back to Blade's reasoning for taking Rintrah somewhere safe, instead of just dragging her right into Tulip's very dangerous world. But also for Tulip, as a benefit of being an occult arms dealer, and perhaps more of a precaution than a benefit, she keeps a weapon stash, packed with guns and knives of all sorts, with each of them having some sort of supernatural enhancement. So Blade just grabs one, and he's more or less just like, hey, as long as this thing kills people, it'll do what he needs it to do. So from there, he just jumps out the window and into the chopper, serving one-shots to everybody inside, which takes care of these guys before he jumps back in. But in addition to them, there's also a ground crew who follows up right after by blasting through her front door, catching the two of them off guard and shooting Blade right back out the window, which from here creates an entirely new issue because these guys end up tasing Tulip and taking her. And as for Blade, though he's able to survive this kind of fall, by the time he gets up, it's only soon enough for him to see these guys grab Tulip, drag her into a car, and take her away. And this whole fiasco really just shows Blade that Tulip has gotten herself into something where she's just in way over her head. So if he's going to get her help to find a way to stop the Adana, he's gonna need her alive. So that means solving her problem before they can even get to his. So next, Blade makes his way to go free Rintrah, who of course is pissed because the kid's been tied to a post the whole night. So he unties her and he feeds her breakfast while filling her in about the situation with Tulip. So Rintrah asks, is Tulip a good person? Because to her, violence must be done with righteousness behind it. And as far as she's concerned, her brothers and sisters from the swordsman sect, they had lost their way, and that's the only reason she justified to herself killing them to save Blade. So for a moment here, she cuts out the bottom of Blade's cup while he's holding it to more or less show him that she is capable, and she wants to go along to help Blade and save Tulip. But he's got to understand that she's not just some defenseless and helpless kid. And in the case of Tulip, when we head back over to her, we find out that the men who are after her They work for Lord Dido, because as it turns out, he bought some bullets from Tulip not too long ago that were supposed to be able to kill people and raise them from the dead so that he could amass this crazy huge undead army. But come to find out, Tulip just sold him some regular bullets because she didn't think that him having an undead army would be much of a good thing for anybody else. And the problem isn't so much that Tulip disagrees with Lord Dido, but it's more so the case of her taking his money and not delivering what she had promised. Which, I mean, sounds like a reasonable argument. But just before Tulip begins to get tortured to death, they hear a car explosion outside. So Lord Dido's men go to check it out. But as soon as they step outside, they start getting picked off with arrows by Rintrah, who's really hoping that these are actually bad guys that she's killing. And meanwhile inside, with Blade making his way to Lord Dido, it's here where he properly introduces himself to Blade as the invader of thoughts and the conqueror of minds, which really in a lot of ways is our introduction to him, because otherwise all we really know is that he's super old, super rich, and super powerful, as far as Japanese and mortal crime bosses go. But to this guy's surprise, Blade is able to resist his mind control spell, which is something we've seen Blade do from time to time, but right here with Lord Dido asks, how is this possible? And how is Blade able to resist? Blade just tells him the same way that he always does, which is by getting pissed off. So he breaks free and stabs Lord Dido with a solution that soon after causes his head to explode. But now with them finally getting both Tulip and Rintrah to sit together and figure out what Blade is up against and what type of weapon he'll need, for a moment this still kinda has Tulip asking what exactly is in it for her, as if saving her life multiple times just wasn't enough. But it isn't too long before she shares with them a story about a sword that she says she's not sure if it really exists. But even with her saying this, Rintrah can tell that Tulip truly believes that it does. So Tulip goes on to tell the story by saying when Lucifer was created, he was supposed to be the greatest warrior of God, with God creating the dichotomy of both good and evil and choosing Lucifer to preserve the order of all things. And to carry out this task, God gave Lucifer a special sword made from the matter of creation itself that he shared the same name with. So for that reason, the sword was named Lightbringer. Which now for Blade, after hearing this story, he's just like, okay, so all I gotta do is steal a sword from the devil, and that's light work. But as it turns out, that's not quite the case at the moment, because right now the sword's being held in the possession of Hamilton Achilles, the owner of Achilles Industries. And the way that Tulip describes him, she's just like, imagine Tony Stark, but replace the technology with brutality. But in the big picture, he's mainly just a huge arms dealer. And the rumor is that he has the Lightbringer sword in his possession. So for Blade, he's just like, yeah, well, okay, we just go to him and we take it. But the problem is, this guy lives on a train that's also a fortress, and it's constantly moving at 150 miles per hour. So it's not going to be as easy as Blade is making it sound for them to just run up in there and take what they want. But for Tulip, she doesn't want anything to do with this train fortress heist. She's told Blade what he needs to know, and she's just like, from here, that's on you. But furthermore, Blade needs specifics. He needs a location of the train, details about what they're up against inside, and Tulip's just like, nah, what you need is the Hulk. And unfortunately, she does not have his number. And the funny thing is, she tells them this whole thing is a suicide mission. So Rintrah tells her that doesn't even matter, because if they don't stop the Adana, then it's the end of the world for everybody. So Tulip is just like, I'll be wearing Gucci and drinking a martini when it happens. Which, I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. But also this conversation has Rintrah asking Blade what exactly is a martini, because again, this kid was raised on a mountain. So Blade just tells her it's water for grown folks. And just in the nick of time, he tells both of them to get down, as a litter of arrows come flying through the window. And it shows us right away that this time, it's not Tulip who's being sought after, it's Rintrah's brothers and sisters who've made their way here to find her and handle Blade, because they still believe that they owe him a slow and painful death after killing their fellow brother, who trained his whole life to kill the Adana. So quickly Tulip asked Rintrah if she's cool with her killing these guys. So for Rintrah, just like she told Blade, her brothers and sisters are lost, so she's not gonna try and stop her. So Tulip just headshots this guy, as Blade steps outside to handle the others. But when a few of these guys shoot their arrows at Blade, these arrows just stop in midair, and seemingly out of nowhere, a magic spell just knocks the rest of these guys out. And we soon after discover that all this magic is being done by Dr. Strange, who's made his way over to Japan to tell Blade, I hear you're the one responsible for our collision course with Armageddon. I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.